I gave everyone a whole bunch of problems last week for saying that the Berlantiverse leaving everything on cliffhangers meant that no one would show up for a Crisis on Earth X. But who doesn't show up for their best friend's wedding, especially when you might get another dance routine out of him?
Welcome to the heart of the stories we tell. My name is Rob, and tonight I will be reviewing
Supergirl, Episode 8 of Season 3, Crisis on Earth X, Part 1. And well, since I kind of doing them on the same night, I guess this is also Arrow, Episode 8, Crisis on Earth 8, Part 2. And there's a lot to unpack with what's going on. For those of you that don't know, they've been crossing over since last year. I did a whole thing on the invasion, and I thought that was pretty good. In fact, with the exception of the fact that Supergirl was really not part of the crossover, she has fixed that, obviously. This is obviously Part 1 this time. And things are working a little bit differently this time. So I'm only going to do 2 reviews, handling this as Part 1 and Part 2, and then the next one will be Part 3 and Part 4. All in all, though, we have a lot to cover because, well, Earth X is pretty badass and pretty scary. In the comics, it's the home of a team called the Freedom Fighters, and Uncle Sam and them are one of my personal favorites, even though I'm constantly wondering why a senator with the last name Knight would name his daughter Stormy. Either way, Uncle Sam and the Freedom Fighters is one of those teams that takes place originally during World War II, and then they expanded it into Earth X, where the Germans had won the war and they were freedom fighters. It's a pretty cool concept. I really like Uncle Sam and wouldn't mind seeing him. The Ray has already been promised to have his own little animated adventures. Now, for those of you that don't know, I review stories, but I also come up with concepts of how and why we tell stories. If that sounds interesting to you, click that subscribe button, and let's get started. Alright, so if you're a Supergirl fan, you know there's some family drama going on. There's some weird stuff with a new Fortress of Solitude being built. And of course, there's always issues with her secret identity not being that well of a secret. Plus, allies and enemies hiding out everywhere. If you're new to Arrow, Arrow also has his own problems where his dead ex-girlfriend is back from an alternate dimension herself and is just so happens to be working with a computer hacker from an alternate timeline. And of course, if you're new to Flash, him and his girlfriend are about to get married, which is pretty much where we're picking up right now. So, all in all, the crisis is about to start, and in general, this is how they used to do crossovers back in the day before Crisis on Infinite Earths. Crisis on Earth 1, Crisis on Earth 2, Crisis on Earth X, Crisis on Earth M. Let's see how this starts by throwing this up there.
So once again, it's stop. Spoiler time.
So we start off with Guardian, and Guardian on Earth X is fighting and dying to Arrow. But then we go to A Day in the Life of Superheroes, and like I said up top, it's actually pretty refreshing how they don't drop the stories. We still have everything going on with Mon-El, we still have the fact that Rain is somewhere, we still have the fact that Barry is fighting villains. In fact, throughout the episode, there is a moment where they all compare what they're going after. The anachronisms, what's going on with Kara on her Earth, what's going on with Ollie and his. The only person who doesn't bring anything up, actually, is the Flash. And that actually kind of bugged me, because there was part of me that said, you have DeVoe's phone number. You could probably just call Thinker and be like, we need a timeout. Nazis are invading. And Thinker would probably join the team. But what I really liked was the theme that carried over. The love and loss, the whole idea of who will and who won't be in a relationship. In fact, the entirety of why Kara brought her sister instead of Mon-El fits perfectly with that theme. And I don't know how well they planned this, but it worked out rather well that thematically all of the heroes are dealing with similar problems. Breakups of one sort or another. You know, jokes about Firestorm aside. But this was a crisis like no other. It's one that was partially in their own making. They've been ignoring the fact that there are other Earths out there that are a threat for far too long now. And I did like the little Dominator skit with Supergirl. But for those of you that don't know, Supergirl and Arrow were tonight, Flash and Legends will be tomorrow night. And that's going to be 4 straight hours of awesomeness. Let's break down some beats here, though. The guys standing in the room while they're getting their tuxes tied up and discussing who it is that they love and how they come about things was great. The girls have a similar scene, and because I just did that whole bathos moment, the joke with the drill thing breaking on her hand was awesome and not breaking the tension of the scene. But then we go to Evil Earth. And on Evil Earth, these guys are preparing for something. They have some sort of weapon that needs to be prepared, and a lot of it is left very ambiguous. Why is it they're coming to Earth? Now, of course, by the end of the episode, we understand that it's all about a matter of the heart. Okay, so the wedding is going on, and first we have the whole really crazy scene with Ollie and with Felicity, and then we have the fact that they even have the little "I don't want to marry you, Ollie," which of course is a complete and total moment of just embarrassment and mortification for everyone. And partially I understand. I mean, when people go to weddings, especially people who are couples, this happens where they get wedding fever. And of course, the fact that Kara's there without Mon-El, the fact that Arrow is having his little problems with Felicity and trying to define who they really are together. And remember, a lot of fans don't like that particular ship. And then we even have the little funny moment that I have the bad idea they might have actually only done because they wanted to get the little, oh, look at this moment in. But they handled it much better than I thought they would. The two of them drinking, the two of them fighting together. And you know what? Even if they did only break up Maggie and Alex so they could have this little fling, I'm not going to fault them too much. Mostly because Sarah's one of my favorite characters, and both of them are basically Batman XBs and stand-ins for him. So what we really got to see was a awesome Batman on Batman moment. And then the wedding itself. And whoo-hoo! Remember a couple episodes ago on Flash when I was all like, hey, do you think we're going to get a return of I'm Running Back to You? Well, we did, except instead of Grant Gustin singing it a little ironically, we had Kara singing it, and it was awesome! I sometimes forget the fact that the two of them both are Glee alumni and that they are totally singing musical people. But the wedding was beautiful. It's one of those great setups. I do want to talk about the woman that was there, though. The one handing out the sparkling water. Do you think that's one of Barry's grandchildren? Do you think that's X's? Running back in time just to watch her grandparents get married? Don't forget to say I do. Or do you think it's going to be something that comes up later on Earth X itself, that she's someone from Earth X? I don't know. I think it would be really cool because with all the hinting of doing Bart Allen, remember there's another future speedster, one that joined the Legion in the comics. But alright. So, Crisis on Earth X Episode 1 has a really nice dramatic moment. Anyone who has reason not to say now, or hold your peace. And then Nazis invade. And I mean, come on, who doesn't love a good Nazi-invaded wedding? Now, I have to say that the fact that they had to mind wipe everyone was kind of funny, and I kind of worried about how they were going to handle the fact that everyone had to use their powers so openly. But it was such a great action sequence, especially the Kara versus Kara. Everything was so well done. The only person I felt was actually underutilized in these moments is the person I feel is always underutilized at these moments. In fact, I named the effect for him. Between two speedsters and Firestorm, the only people that should have been problems were the supers. Although I did like the little Black Canary and Alex working together, taking down Prometheus. And, of course, in the next episode, there was a big reveal about who they were taking down. But alright. We have these three villains. And they didn't even bring their speedster with them for this. There's part of me that says that if they had, they might have made a little more sense. Because then he could have taken on someone like maybe Firestorm or something. But, again, they have this problem where there were too many people, but they take down Prometheus, the rest of them get away, and boom, we have a prisoner, who of course isn't unmasked until the next episode because dramatic reveal time. Alright, so that was the Supergirl episode, and it was strong and well done, and you know who the going person that stole every scene he was in was? Heatwave. Seriously, every line that this actor has is delivered perfectly. even in background when he's just sleeping at the wedding, just perfect. But I mean, it's not like the cast has a dearth of good actors, but he just stole the show. So the Arrow episode opens, and we start with the reveal of who Prometheus of Earth X is, along with the basic explanation of what Earth X is. So, Tommy Merlin is back. Everyone's been waiting for this moment. Everyone thought he might be Prometheus way back when Prometheus debuted on Arrow. But no, he is in this, though. And he gets a nice heart-to-heart with Ollie, and then kills himself. Because, well, that actor's moved on to bigger, better things. And this episode has a much bigger, grander cast selection. They do a much better job of giving everyone something to do, but at the same time, they still keep it a nice, down-to-earth story. Now, there was some question as to who this was in the Reverse Flash outfit. Was it a Wells that turned evil? Was it Eobard? Was it Barry from an alternate reality? What was going on? And it is this guy. It is Eobard Thawne. It is our Eobard Thawne, ironically enough. But remember, he was wearing Wells' face for the longest time. Well, part of this is probably the actor wasn't available, but they gave Wells a little more work to do. And they made him part of what I'm classifying the crime syndicate of America. Instead of doing just straight-up Nazis, they have Earth X villains working as a sort of anti-Justice League. And anti-Justice League is nothing new. Owlman, Ultraman, Superwoman, Power Ring, and Johnny Quick. In fact, in that normally there's a little problem where Owlman and Ultraman are both trying for the heart of Superwoman. In this, their Batman, their Arrow, Red Arrow, I guess, is married to Kara. And can I just say, Kara has one of the greatest lines. Ew, yuck. I mean, no offense. Right, no offense to Stephen Amell, who, more likely than not, almost any woman would be like, no, I'll kiss him if you want someone to kiss him for a scene. But before that reveal is given to our heroes, we get it. And before that, we have a little more bit of down-to-earth, heart-to-heart moments. Because remember, they've actually managed to very much ground this. And we're still dealing with the whole Maggie and Alex part, and the fact that Alex has never had a one-night stand. I can tell you, neither have I, so, I mean, I guess that would kind of mess with you if you just got drunk one night at a wedding and banged just some random chick. But where we have this whole heart-to-heart really showcases the fact that the evil versions of the heroes, when they do show up, call the good versions weak. And let's be honest, these guys are not weaklings, although they do still have to save the day. I do love the fact that they use the old, hey, I'm going to knock down a building so you guys have to go stop them from dying thing. And I love Jax's whole, wait, there's 52 Earths? I thought there was only one. Sometimes you forget who's in the know and who's not on these things. Everything worked out really well, except for the fact that I don't get why Harry knew about Earth X and no one else did. And of course, they needed to keep Cisco unconscious. But they did a really good job of bringing in other heroes, too. I mean, it would be so easy to, like last time, just leave Green Arrow's team aside. But when we have the big confrontation, and it's 3 against 3, they could have used some backup, but that was pretty cool. And I have to ask, who else thought the Kryptonite Arrow was awesome? I mean, seriously, why do you even have a Kryptonite Arrow? In case an evil version of you came along. But then we cut back to a little bit of interpersonal stuff for a few seconds before the team's able to trace, using that Kryptonite Arrow and the blood on it, where Supergirl from this world is. The one who's had her cells so supercharged that she's dying. Kind of reminds me of All-Star Superman, actually, a Grant Morrison story. We get a great moment in the Time Vault where Barry worries about the fact that it's Eobard back and the fact that that messes with him. And everyone kind of is just on the edge when, boom, we need to go fight someone. I did kind of laugh at the fact that Flash and Supergirl from that world thought they were badass enough that they didn't need the Arrow. And they sent Arrow, who then had to fight this version of team. Terrific Wild Dog and Canary didn't do as well as I would have hoped, but since they always showcase the fact that in our universe, Ollie can kick all of their butts together, the only one I wish had made a better showing was Canary. Meanwhile, they had a surprise. Metallo was on their side too, bringing their crime syndicate up to 4, well 5 if you counted the Prometheus who died, but either way, they still seem outnumbered to me. And trying to invade an Earth full of heroes with people like Firestorm, they really could have used their own Deathstorm. Overall, though, Crisis on Earth X is everything that we would have wanted a superhero crossover to be, and everything that made me feel like they know what they're doing, especially because of the whole theme and symbolism thing. So I want to talk about relationships for a second. And it would be easy for me to start with the love between Iris and Barry, or even the love between brothers, but I'm going to go with father and son love for a minute. And the fact that the whole Firestorm story, the one where they're able to, hey, here this potion could separate you. But realistically, do you want to be separated? You guys have worked so well as a team so far. And let's be honest, the Firestorm power set isn't really being used to its fullest anyway. But out of story, just, isn't it amazing how much you care about Jackson Stein and how they work together? I know Victor Garber's going on to a Broadway play, so they have to do something to separate them. But it's going to be sad to see this go. And it's a perfect juxtaposition to the mad romance / lust booty call that is Sarah and Alex. That was really there to make her question whether or not she was ready to let go of Maggie, and the fact that she really isn't. But even that is really just a nice way of showcasing how everyone handles grief a little differently. And at the same time, there's another juxtaposition between the other love story, the one about the people who were in such a good place now that they were afraid to change anything up. Or, the other love story, the one where your boyfriend disappeared 6 months ago, but really for him 6 years ago, he got married and, yeah, okay, comics are complicated. In general, we tell love stories because they're stories of connection, stories of how we integrate with each other. And that's what this was. A beautiful postcard to how to have a grounded, heart-wrenching story while still talking about superheroes. I'm not going to say this was perfect. We did Firestorm affect several characters to weaker than they need to be. We had to knock Cisco out during the wedding because his vibe powers would have been just too powerful for this. And on top of that, our villains aren't even fully really villainous. I mean, let's be honest. They could have killed everyone, used the kryptonite heart of Metallo to keep Supergirl weak. The amount of we're taking captives just doesn't fully make sense. And on top of that, we don't have everyone here. When Joe says to Barry, I wish your parents were here, I felt like saying, I wish Jay were here. But I understand with such a big cast, we did do as best we could. I was surprised we didn't get any word of Freedom Fighters. Not even a little hint yet. Like I said, I know the Ray has his own cartoon series coming out on Seed soon, which I assume is going to take place in the aftermath of this, because I haven't seen it yet. But maybe not, I don't know. I really expected to hear something about a resistance on their Earth, and that's why they were coming here, to get something to fight them. But now that, since the episode ended on Earth X, we'll probably see those coming up, and we have plenty of bits of little screenshots of things to know that it's coming up. Things like the Ray, and maybe Citizen Cold. Long story. Plus we have whatever's going to happen with the Wave Rider. Overall, I really liked the tonight. What about you? Let me know down in the comments section. I'd love to hear if there was anything I missed, or something that you think was better than what I did, or even an excuse why they aren't killing their hero counterparts. In general, like I said, this is a big group of heroes. There is a lot going on in this story to keep track of, and as such, I'm sure I missed half of the little Easter egg things they did. So I'd love to hear that down in the comment section as well. But for those of you that don't know, in general, on Tuesday nights it's hard for me to record, so Wednesday morning I will record part 2 of this as we talk about the crisis on Earth X. And I hope that this is a running thing. Maybe next year we'll get a crisis on an Earth with Shazam on it, or something like that. For now, if you enjoyed my weird ramblings, click that like button and thumbs up me. And of course, share this video. If this is your first time here, click subscribe. in general, I want to build a community. And once I hit 100 subscribers, I'm at like 74 as I record this, I'm going to give away some Amazon gift tickets to people who subscribe and leave comments. But we'll get to that in about 30 more subscribers. For now, I hope you have a good night. I hope you enjoyed this. And I'll see you next time as we walk through the heart of the stories we tell.